Ben and Bryan Shelton have been looking a lot recently at Nadal. They feel like the way Rafa played aggressive tennis with his forehand, controlled play with his forehand, is something that can be emulated. And I was thinking about it. Rafa Nadal, this generational, all-time great player. Where are the copycats, right? Obviously, there's a leftiness to it. There are less lefties. That means there are less likely, there are less options. There are less people that even have the chance to try to do anything like Nadal, something like Nadal did. But where are the big forehand lefties, right? That's basically what I'm asking. And I was just kind of looking down the list, and I went to Tennis Abstract, and I'm like, let's look at the lefties. Ben Shelton is the only heavyweight forehand there is among lefties. Like, there's nobody else here with a heavyweight forehand. Now, there are some good forehands. I like Jack Draper's forehand. I like Alejandro Tabilo's forehand. I like Facundo Diaz-Acosta's forehand. But none of them are heavyweight. And if you go down the list of Hugo Humbert, Ben Shelton, Adrian Manarino, Cameron Norrie, Jack Draper, Tabilo, Dominic Kupfer, who's got a better backhand than forehand, Facundo Diaz-Acosta, Yoshihito Nishioka, Hugo Gaston, Maximilian Martyr, Corentin Moutet, Albert Ramos Vinolas. Now I'm outside the top 100 already. You have Jerry Shang, who, again, I would kind of put in like the Diaz-Acosta Tabilo category. Stricker hits a big forehand as well, but he's 117 in the world right now. It's not obvious like who takes that torch and is like, I'm going to be a lefty with a massive forehand. Here is why that's an advantage. Like, if you just think about the patterns of play that you can unlock if you're a lefty with a great forehand, there's two things. One, if you hit really good, heavy cross-court forehands against righties, it's very hard for the right-hander to break up the pattern and get the rally back to your backhand, because you have to redirect with the backhand down the line. And for most right-handers with the weaker backhand, it's going to be really hard to execute that backhand down the line if you're putting them under pressure, if you're hitting a good enough ball that makes them uncomfortable and has quality. So you keep getting forehands again and again and again, and then ultimately you're going to get a chance to attack with that forehand weapon if you keep getting forehands. When you go inside in with your forehand, I feel that's another big advantage. If you're a righty and you go inside in with your forehand, it better be good. Assuming, obviously, that you're playing another righty, which most of the time you are. If you go inside in with your forehand, righty to righty, you're giving your opponent a running forehand with the cross-court forehand open. Lowest part of the net, most court to hit into, the safest shot in the book, your cross-court forehand, and you're leaving court open into that shot. So if you're a righty and you hit a forehand inside in, you have to do damage. You have to disrupt your opponent's contact point or disrupt their balance, or you're in trouble. If you're a lefty, you have way more cushion. You have way more cushion hitting your forehand inside in, because you're at least giving the right-hander a running backhand. They're not going to be able to get as much on the ball if they try to counter you to the cross court. So, the righties have a little bit of that on the inside out, where they get to go inside out at the backhand. Lefties, unfortunately, have to go inside out to the forehand. But why I think it's a good thing to be a lefty is the inside in, because it's a down the line, it's a more aggressive pattern. So if you're going to get that advantage off of the inside out or the inside in, the advantage of hitting to a backhand, I think it's better to get that advantage from your aggressive inside in. So I think lefties are in a good spot there if they have a great forehand that can take advantage of all that. Shelton has that. Who has it except Ben? I don't really see it, which is crazy.